Does God exist? Let's dive into it. Let's take a look at this. What for me must be, not only is it a presumptuous question, first of all, to think that it's possible to answer it intellectually with the mind. In other words, trying to address a question that pertains to that which supersedes, transcends the mind with the mind. That's the first thing. But also it must be one of the most perplexing and irritating questions, also for those same reasons that I've just touched on. We have to understand that when we ask such a question, we are using the division of our mind, thoughts, in order to address something that is the undivided. You get that? We're using divisions in order to explain that which is undivided. It's like it's like using numbers in order to say something about zero, the ground of all numbers. Or we're using sound in order to describe silence, or using vibration in order to describe stillness. All of these things exist within the field. Sound and no sound exist within the field of silence. All vibrations, all frequencies, all movements exist as a phenomenon within that still place of no movement. Similarly, when we ask such a question that pertains to the field of all being, the unifying field, we cannot use a dimension that exists within that field in order to talk about the field itself. A dimension within the field of all reality is asking if the field itself exists. And if so, what does it look like? Does it look like me? Is it mental? Is it emotional? Is it spiritual? Is it physical? All of these are dimensions that exist within the field itself. So you can't use facets of the field to describe the field. So it's a mental question, and it cannot be answered mentally. Is the field a reality? That's a better question. Is God a reality? That's a better question. But it cannot be answered intellectually. It cannot be answered mentally. So then the one who is being asked, if he's such a person who has gone into this inquiry intimately, in other words, they have gone within themselves experientially in order to touch upon those questions for themselves, not using any criteria, any measures of conditioned inheritance, religion, in other words, or tradition, or whatever, science. No, they've gone in for themselves to have a look. Is there a unifying field within myself that consolidates my mind with my emotions, with my physicality, with my spirituality? Is there a unifying field? Is there a consolidated reality? That is a worthy question. And the answer to that is, you must go in to have a look for yourself. What I can tell you from my own experience is that there is indeed the still point of being that is the consolidation of all those dimensions, all those expressions, mental expression, emotional expression, physical expressions. All of these have their reality within a deeper reality that we may call the unifying field, the God of my expression, the God of my mental beingness, emotional beingness, physical beingness. Does that exist? For me, yes. For you, I don't know if God exists in terms of your own experience that you need to validate. Is it there yet? Is there a consolidation within you? Is a possibility of that within you? Is a possibility of God exist within you? Yes. Are you already consolidated? I can't say. I don't know you. So not only is the question is not only is the question pertains to the questioner and to the one who is attempting to answer it. There is indeed within me a consolidated reality, the God of my being. Of course, that's not what people are asking, because they're using the mind. And the mind being an outward dimension, they want to know if there's a God existing in the sky. What sky? There is no sky. There's only the perception of sky and your interpretation of that. Is there an outside reality? No. The outside exists within my vision, and it is interpreted by my vision, as it is being perceived by my vision, as it is being experienced by my vision. My hand, as I touch, I only experience my mental extrapolation of that, my mental perception, sensorial perception of that, and the interpretation I give to that. The whole reality is a mental experience. This is a mind-perceived universe. Mind-perceived, mind-sensed, mind-conceived. You're only ever experiencing your mental perception, your mental articulation. Wow. I don't know what you want to hear necessarily, but all I can share with you is something to inspire you to do the inner work, to look inward. Go have a look for yourself if God exists. Nobody can tell you, oh, Jesus is God. I am the one and the way. Yes, the I is the way. I am is the way. The I am is the way. Be still and know that I am. Yes. If your eye be still, your whole body shall be filled with light. Yes. He represents an example. Is Muhammad. I mean, what do you care about? What do you care about? They represent an example to inspire you to go in and have a look. But does God exist outside? Well, does outside exist? First of all, you have to ask yourself. That's the first question that ought to be there. Does God exist? Do you mean does God exist outside, or does God exist inside? If you're talking about does God exist inside, the potential of God existing within, yes, as the consolidated unifying reality. But the fact that you're asking such a question means that you have not yet gone in there to be the unifying field of your own projected experience. I don't know. I would suggest that your experience is the activity of God. Your experience is the activity of God. Therefore, it must precede. Now, what in you precedes that question? Before you became aware of your I amness, there was a time when you became aware of yourself. Before you became aware of your reality, what? And when was the last time you were aware of your reality, your I? There was a point when you met that I. Oh. When was the last time you remembered it? There was a time when you didn't know that you were I am. What were you before that? And when was the last time you returned to that? Answer that first and then talk about God.